Welcome. My name is Olga Domokos, and I'm a Waldorf teacher. If you're the parent of a middle schooler or high schooler, or a student yourself wondering what algebra is really going to feel like and look like, this video is for you. You may picture endless worksheets, abstract symbols, disconnected procedures. That is not this class. This virtual algebra class was specifically created for Waldorf homeschooling students. Imaginative, curious, active learners who don't want to spend an hour staring at equations on the screen. And even though we meet online, it's a hands-on class where students are engaged and we work together. Students draw, discuss, experiment with number patterns, and discover mathematical relationships for themselves. Algebra becomes something they experience, not just memorize. At this age, students are beginning to think independently. There's a newfound way of thinking. They question and look beneath the surface of things, and algebra meets them right there. It gives structure to thinking and helps them discover that hard problems can be approached step by step with confidence and creativity. And it might surprise you that I talk about math as a creative subject. Algebra is very much one. And if math hasn't come easily until now, please don't be discouraged. Algebra asks for a new and different kind of thinking than arithmetic did. And many students who struggled before suddenly find they actually enjoy the logic and patterns in algebra. True to Waldorf philosophy, my goal is for my students to understand why something works, not to simply accept a formula and use it. So I have demonstrations. For example, I use a physical balance scale to show what an equation truly is. Instead of starting with an abstract x and y, students first see balance, they see imbalance, and the step needed to restore equilibrium. And because they can see the idea physically first, the symbols begin to make sense. The equation becomes a language describing something real. Students also learn to graph things by hand before we ever introduce a graphing calculator. It's like learning to drive a car before driving a race car. The race car gives you speed, but you first need to understand what you're handling. Graphing by hand builds intuition. The calculator then becomes a tool for deeper exploration. It's not a replacement for understanding. We work seriously in this class, but we also laugh a lot. Students are encouraged to ask questions, make mistakes, and think independently. Now, making mistakes in math isn't a sign of failing. It's often a sign that real thinking is happening. A mistake in math is like burning a loaf of bread when you're learning to bake. It forces new questions. Was the oven too hot? Did I leave it in too long? Was something missing from the recipe? Or did I use too much sugar? Following instructions perfectly the first time rarely builds understanding. It rarely builds understanding the way mistakes and reflections do, because that's when we ask the whys. Why did it happen? What went wrong? Oh, now I can see how it works. Now I understand why a certain temperature is necessary for this kind of bread recipe. My goal isn't simply to teach students to solve equations. It's to help them become confident thinkers, to discover that math is about patterns, about balance, relationships, and it is about learning to trust their own reasoning. Because in algebra, something that's also new in comparison to earlier math is equations can have more than one correct solution. Sometimes there are two solutions. Sometimes there's an infinite number of solutions, and sometimes there is no solution. And you have to trust your own reasoning and to your own logic that what you found as the solution, maybe no solution, is correct. because your reasoning was correct. So whether your child loves math or feels nervous about it, this class meets them where they are and helps them grow. Thank you for watching this video, and I'd love to welcome your family into this journey.